Like almost every other game in the history that has been made, Destiny 2 is not perfect. Far from it. Doesn't matter the game, Destiny, Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, all the way to some of the best games ever created, improvements can be made. It's like a YouTube auditor upgrading to a rotating anal dildo instead of a vibrating one to continue to fuck himself. Now look, as decent as Destiny 2 has been, there are some things that need to be fixed. And oddly enough, some of these things were fixed in Destiny 1 only for Bungie to fuck up and let shit return back in Destiny 2. I have no idea why they learned from their Destiny 1 mistakes and fixed them, only to revert back to their stupid old ways and not maintain some of these fixes. It doesn't make sense. If you fix something, you maintain the fix. Why do you change shit again? Instead of doing an entire blueprint series, obviously it's not really needed, I've limited this to about 10 or so fixes. And I say or so because I'm going to have one that actually expands on a lot of things. It's really more than 10, but look, fuck it. Now, the one fix that I'm not going to mention is the one that people went apeshit over in the first week of the game. Shaders. Like I said, I get the community's beef with the shaders because in Destiny 1, these were accomplishments. Since the game was so limited back then, the rewards were so fucking cheap, the best way to show off was to put on the shader on your gear to show what content you beat. I beat the raid, so I have the shader. I beat trial, so here's my shader. Basically, shaders have now become a consumable, something you will receive plenty of times throughout ranking up, and it's turned into a cosmetic item that it should have been in the first game. Not the reward that you want to show off when you beat something, but a cosmetic item that should have been in the game the whole time. Whether Bungie makes a change to shaders or not, I don't give a fuck. I really don't. I don't use them right now in anything. I probably have a shitload of them in my inventory that I'll never fucking use, and I won't use because I really just don't give a shit. The game has better rewards to receive, and you earn shaders along the way. So I am fine if they make a change to them. If the community wants a change, cool. I'm also fine if they leave the shit the way it is, since it's such a small item compared to my 10 other things. So that's why I'm not including this in my list, because I really don't care what color my Titan ass towel really is. That being said, let's kick this shit off. We're going to start with the easiest one. Number 1, vault sorting. Fucking A, man. You know, we finally got a little bit of vault sorting this time around, so we can actually see our shit classified by certain sorting methods. The problem is, the sorting design doesn't go far enough. There are so many more options to choose from that Bungie seems to omit, such as sorting by power level, sorting by kinetic or energy or power weapons, sort by the type to see your auto rifles or to see your sidearms next to one another, sort by the element themselves, move gear further down the line, or any other method that works than what we have right now. Since the vault doesn't separate these spaces for armor versus items or whatever the hell it is, having better sorting options would be a better solution than what we have now. You know, they gave us 200 spaces. That's a lot more than what we had when we started in Destiny 1. But that 200 space can literally be for anything in the game. Mods, coins, gear, whatever the fuck you want. Doesn't matter. But once you enter the vault, they just randomly put that shit in an order that doesn't make any goddamn sense to the user. It needs to change, specifically by power level. That's the main one that people want to see. Number 2, strike missions. Well, in particular, actually, they're loot. Right now, public events are the best way to power up and to actually get some shit. They only take a few minutes. Strikes do take a shitload more time compared to a public event. And the rewards are essentially crap. I mean, we used to have skeleton keys that gave us a better reward for running strikes. Y'all remember that shit? And then we had incentives to continue playing. Here, we have nothing. So what makes more sense? Spending 15 minutes on a strike or completing 3 to 4 public events in that 15 minutes, and then you have roughly both the same drop rate. I'd rather load up on public events, as would the rest of the world. Strikes need better loot, and they need a reason to play them. I get that Bungie doesn't want to carry everything over from Destiny 1, and they want to make this game appear different. But without a reason to play strikes, people are not going to play them. Without a loot reason to play them, people only play them if they have to. And while I'm on the subject of strikes, why did you remove strike scoring? Remember that shit at the end of Destiny 1? That was fucking fun. You see your scores and shit, you get random fucking points for things and medals, and at the end, oh man, that was fucking entertaining. Now you just removed all of that shit, and you made normal, boring strikes again. Come on. I know you want to make Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 different from one another, but it's okay to carry over the improvements you made at the end of the fucking game. Strike scoring was one of those goddamn improvements. Number 3, the power gap from 265 to 305. Now, in prior games, we had the same power gap. You get ranked up to a certain point, and then essentially you become stuck because the content is limited as to where you can go from there. This is where the real grind begins, because now you have to repeat content over and over and over again, hoping your random luck works in your favor. If you get lucky, you collect items to improve your rank. If you don't get lucky, you stay in that power gap. And the best way to get lucky is to play as often as possible, putting in 5, 6, 10, 15 hours a day into activities to get these items. And for people in school or actual jobs, this is a challenge. You know, people with bullshit jobs like streamers and YouTubers, they can rank up endlessly without an issue. Because Bungie doesn't want these fuckers to get the highest rank so fast, they put limits on normal people ranking up. While the job challenge scumbags of Twitch and YouTube play all day. That's what I'm going to call them, the job challenge motherfuckers. You know, they have time to sink into this shit. While the others with jobs fall behind very quickly. Meanwhile, they still rank up much faster than people who actually work for a living. Bungie seemed to try to prevent that. They didn't want streamers and YouTubers to rank up so goddamn fast, and they wanted to let the others catch up. But the problem is, the limits that you put in place limit those who actually don't have that kind of time. The streamers and YouTubers have that kind of time. To prevent that, there should have been weekly limits as to what people can earn. And yes, we already have some of those. But like public events ranking up, getting exotics is the way to get past that barrier. It's annoying for people who want to play, but you're restricting because these couch potatoes are being catered against. That's not what should have happened, since this game was already going to have a problem. It's been like this since Destiny 1. Those with plenty of time are always going to surpass those without that kind of time. I can understand not wanting people to be the maximum level after just 1 week, but at the same time, you can't fuck over the other part of the population with this power gap. There needs to be content that keeps everyone happy and ranking up, but at the same time, there needs to be a restriction in place that caps off how high someone can be playing 24/7 a day. That's just not fair to everyone who plays this game. Numbers 4, 5, and 6, they all go hand in hand, so I'm actually going to list these right next to one another. And this is the infusion system and the mods. You know, back in the Taken King, Bungie introduced the concept of light levels, which basically are now our power levels in this game. And the way you increase that was to infuse higher armor into lower armor if you wanted to. Unfortunately, they rolled that shit out with some math involved. You couldn't put a 290 piece into a 220 piece and all of a sudden you were 290. It only went up a portion of the way. And I don't remember what the math was, but I think it was only like 80% after 5 levels or whatever the fuck it is. So you might only be 280 if you infuse the 290 into a 220 piece. Eventually, they made it a 1-to-1 infusion ratio where if you put a 290 into something, it became 290. Good, that's smart. That almost carried over to Destiny 2. Because now they've added these mods to guns and to armor and shit like that. And these purple mods increase your power level. But they don't count towards your infusion. Put a mod, gain a 5 power level, but that's not your actual level. So instead of partial infusions, you need to be wary of what gear you're putting into shit. You need to be aware that if you infuse a 290 gun and that has a 5 power mod, that your gun is only really 285. You know, just like the launch of the Taken King, we're still not at a complete 1-to-1 infusion ratio. The mods themselves are problem number 5. Who the fuck wants to put something that doesn't increase your power level by 5? Think about that shit. You have all these options to increase your level, but we're given all these fucking blue ones. And you need to convert the blue ones into purple ones to increase your power level. So you need to accumulate blue mods, which isn't that difficult. We all know that. All you need is a bunch of glimmer and shit like that. But for those who are trying to get the damn kinetic mods, I feel like I am constantly out of glimmer. I'm fucking infusing shit, trying to get goddamn kinetic mods. I'm disabling shit, trying to get the mod components. It is fucking insane. All of this shit for fucking 5 power points on your kinetic mods. I don't understand why they made such a confusing system, why they had to add these mods, why they couldn't just add properties to the guns to begin with. Instead, these mods are totally fucking everything over simply because they needed to add something else to the rank up system. It really adds an unneeded level of ranking up to all your guns and armor just to get to that 305 power level. Then once you get past all that, and you get deeper into the fusion, past all the mods and shit like that, you can also see that you can't cross infusion anymore. You know, before, primary guns went into primary guns. If I had a hand cannon that I didn't want, I could put that into a pulse rifle that I actually liked. I can infuse that together. Not anymore. Now, hand cannons go into hand cannons, rockets go into rockets. While you can put a kinetic weapon into an energy weapon of the same kind and vice versa, you can't cross streams with an auto rifle and, say, a sidearm. So if I get a scout rifle that I like, I have to wait until I get another scout rifle that I don't like that's a higher power to infuse that shit. Power weapons are essentially fucked over since kinetic and energy weapons can't cross streams and they can't infuse one another. That doesn't leave very many options for heavy weapons. It means once you get a high-powered rocket, chances are you're going to hold on to that motherfucker anyway. If you get a high-powered sword, chances are you're going to hold on to that motherfucker anyway. In addition, you can't infuse armor across characters either. For people like me who play all three classes, I can't put a Titan helmet into a Hunter helmet or a Warlock chest piece into a Titan chest piece, etc. You guys get the idea, right? We're limited now. Only our own class items work and they can't be infused into a separate class. Before that didn't matter, especially since I could be a Titan and get a Warlock armor drop, but now they changed all of that shit. This is all to make the grind even longer for that person that doesn't play 15 hours a day. There should have been a better way to implement this shit. Infusion, mods, power system, it all hurts the average player that's not a streamer that has actual things to do outside of playing fucking video games. Instead, they put in all this artificial difficulty just to extend how long it takes to rank up in this motherfucker. Number 7, Crucible point totals. You know, aside from total blowouts, you know, when I play with like Sky, Smelly, and other guys, I know how to shit stomp randoms. Most of the game modes that have point totals are not going to the point limit. Fucking Supremacy. That shit is barely getting halfway across. Clash and Control, I have seen some games getting to the actual point limit, especially Control when you have like flag advantages. But most of the games right now are going to a time limit instead of the point limit. Supremacy is a real fucked up game mode right now because of how the game operates with all the team shotting being beneficial and shit like that. You rarely see solo players running around the map. You see 2, 3, sometimes all 4 teammates standing right next to one another. In Supremacy, where you need to collect crests to win, that's a formula for everything going to the time limit. Out of all the game modes, this is the only one I have not gotten to the point limit, ever. Control I have, Clash I've managed to do, but Supremacy has not gotten there. It's gotten close, but I've not finished the game based on the point limit total. Countdown to Survival will naturally have a winner because of the elimination mode factor. Plus you have the tiebreaker, process of elimination type mentality, but the quick play list needs some point adjustments. The point totals need to be scaled down a bit because it seems stupid that 90% of the games that I'm playing in right now are all going to the time limit instead of the actual point limit. Number 8, Nightfall. This actually has a few issues that don't make any goddamn sense. First of all, we now have 2 Nightfalls with a normal mode and a hard mode, or a prestige mode, whatever you want to call this shit. Personally, I think it should just be hard mode. Not sure what the fuck normal mode is supposed to do at this point other than help people get over that power level hump, you know, the one that I'm talking about where you get stuck at that 265 gap, because it really makes very little sense to have 2 fucking Nightfalls. It's supposed to be one of the hardest and most challenging pieces of content during the week. You have a mode, potentially 6 power levels lower than the maximum light. That's not hard content, motherfucker. That feels like a normal strike with a couple of modifiers attached to that shit. Second thing has been the timers. I get why the timers were added, because back in Destiny 1, you could sit back the entire fight, shoot or snipe enemies from a distance, and even most people used the icebreaker in the first year, and there really wasn't a penalty for doing such a thing. Although almost every Nightfall that had some cheese, where you can sit in a corner and shoot a boss all day long, there were plenty of ways to cheese those things, so this timer is actually in the game so that people have to beat the content. No more cheesing, no more sitting in a corner trying to beat the boss. You gotta actually beat that motherfucker. The problem is this mentality of speedrunning. You know, there are speedrunners who do this shit on a regular basis. And then there are people who can do shit fast, but they're not looking to solely do things for speedruns. Speedrunners skip content. They find the quickest way, the quickest method past something, and they run this shit over and 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 over again until they get the lowest time possible. These are the fucking streamers with nothing else better to do in life. The overwhelming majority of players don't give 2 shits about that. We just want to beat Nightfall, get our reward, and move the fuck on. So instead of cheesing Nightfalls with snipers, what do you think people are doing right now? They're cheesing the timers. They're staying back, they're killing enemies, they're staying back, shooting fucking anomalies, going to a different area, coming back, shooting the fucking anomaly again, so that way their friends get as much time as possible. They're also shooting the bosses off a wall like this most recent Nightfall just to instantly kill the motherfucker. These are all things people are doing to avoid the timer. So Bungie adds this artificial bit of difficulty, and players are avoiding the artificial difficulty, and guess what? We're right back where we started in the end of this motherfucker. So here's what I say. The 240 Nightfall, the normal Nightfall, should not have a timer. However, it should not be the top reward. I know that we have the Luminous Engram that you get from Zavala, and it should be the Luminous Engram that is above your light. That's really it. The Prestige Nightfall should come with a timer. However, the timer should not be a total failure. This timer is meant to get you a guaranteed exotic engram, and if you beat the Nightfall with the mechanic and the timer, then you get that aura each week or whatever the fuck it is. You know, you basically get the best reward. However, if you don't beat the Prestige Nightfall within the timer, the game doesn't end. It doesn't automatically kick you back to orbit, but you then get a normal reward. You get like a Luminous Engram, or you get a high-level Engram closer to your light level. So at least at the very minimum, if you don't beat it during the timer, you get something. You don't get kicked back to orbit just because you took your time on this shit. You know, the timer shit on some other activities, that wasn't bad in Destiny 1. You remember when we had the Black Spindle Challenge? That shit was fucking fantastic. We had to beat that enemy in 10 minutes, and then I believe the Touch of Malice had 2 time missions to beat and whatnot. That was cool. Quest lines make sense with a timer, like the one for the raid shotgun where you have to beat the arms dealer in this motherfucker. But the rest of this, come on, man, there's nothing but a pile of shit. Remove the normal Nightfall timer, add it to Prestige, and then guarantee an exotic as a reward for each week if you beat the Prestige Nightfall within the timer. Makes a whole lot more sense. Number 9, the empty space in the tower. Holy shit, this place is gigantic. Have you guys seen that shit? It's gigantic and it's empty. Yes, it's cool to see all the places in the tower, and it has that secret room and shit like that. Plus the factions are going to be starting tomorrow. But motherfucker, this new space is far bigger than it needs to be. There are stairwells to nowhere. Corridors that lead to shit, to unused space in this motherfucker. You know, I get they wanted to show that the tower is this new, vibrant space and show off the city down below. But the size of the shit is madness, man. Add something to those spaces. Give them a purpose other than fucking wasted space. At least the farm makes use of their space. And I thought there was going to be more content in the farm, but apparently fucking not. But there'll probably be some future events that trigger from the farm, like Iron Banner, whatever the fuck it is. But this has become wasted space, especially now with Hawthorne in the tower and whatnot, and the rest of the vendors setting up shop in the tower. If the whole goal of the end game was to build another tower above the city, at least let there be a reason as to why we have so much fucking space. Otherwise, we have all this dead space, all these dead-ass fucking staircases to nowhere. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. Put the fucking tower to use as opposed to all this bullshit. Final thing, number 10. Actually, this is really a couple items. This is like the final thing. These are quality of life items to make the game a bit easier and smoother. These are minor things that don't need major explanations, but could and should be added to the game to improve these shit we already have. You know, these are small things, such as not having to hold the square button for so goddamn long to start a patrol. Let us just hit that shit fast. You know what I'm talking about? You have to hold down the goddamn button just to do a basic patrol. Everything was a quick press of the button. So why the fuck are we holding down this patrol forever? It doesn't make any goddamn sense. I can pick up planet materials quickly. I can scan things quickly. But a simple kill mission requires me to stand there for 5 seconds with my thumb up my ass, man. Just make that shit nice and quick. Some other things. Seeing challenges above all the other shit on the screen. You know what I'm talking about? You press the touchpad, and anytime you get glimmer or a gun or a notification, you can't see your active challenges. Instead, you get cock blocked. Just let us see the challenges when we want. It's so fucking stupid. This is just basic user interface logic. Switch the clan roster and information tabs. You know, not everyone on my friends list is in my clan. I have people from all walks of life that are not in Prestige Gamers. Then I have people on Prestige Gamers that aren't even on my friends list. So I want to see shit quickly instead of pressing a couple of buttons. Just switch those 2 roster tabs over and that'll make things a lot easier. Fast travel in the tower. I don't know what triggers it sometimes, but I land at Ikora instead of the center area. I want that option. Maybe to land at Ikora and Hawthorne as a choice, or maybe land at Cade as a choice instead of randomly putting us wherever the fuck they want. That seems to be a better option. If I knew why I randomly landed at Ikora, that might help. But I don't know why sometimes I land there, yet I have to run all the way to fucking Cade if I want to get my goddamn flashpoint reward. Fast travel options would be nice, but even better would be locations to land at anytime you want to choose the tower. Another item while we're on the topic of the tower. Take away the notifications on every fucking vendor once you visited them, specifically Banshee at the gunsmith. Yes, motherfucker, I know, I have 1,000 fucking gunsmith parts, but do you really need all that shit? I don't want to cash that shit in all at one time. I can understand the Postmaster, I can understand Tess Everest and the Cryptarch since they're obviously giving me shit, but Banshee, Zavala, Shax, just because I have fucking coins, I don't need an indicator every fucking time. Unless it's part of a main quest or a major reward like Nightfall or Call to Arms, yeah, put a notification over the head, but otherwise, I don't want to have to constantly see them every time I go to the the goddamn tower. Finally, let us see our party members on the fucking map. What the fuck? Why can't I see where my teammates are on the planet we're on? You know, when Hatred tells me he found a chest, or Smelly landed in another area and says there's a high-value target, or Sky found a lost sector entrance, let me see that shit on the map. That's not too much to ask for, motherfucker. That's just common sense. Party of 3. Let me see where the party of 3 is. That way I at least know, oh, he's in the Winding Cove. Oh, he's on the rig. That way I could go there and immediately just jump into the activity that they say. So, now that we got through all that shit, you guys can see, not many of these are major things. Some of these are relatively minor things, aside from the infusion system and to improve the overall impact of the scope of the game. Destiny 2 has obviously been a decent game. It needs improvements. There is no question about that. And these things that I've mentioned are all things they can improve. This is not asking to fix the story. This is not asking to fix the golf fight. This is not asking to make shit less cheesy. The game isn't perfect, but every single one of these items are things Bungie can patch, fix, hotfix, change, you name it. These are things fans want in the game. Whether or not they do it, who the fuck knows? Anyways, that does it for this video. So as always, rate, comment, subscribe, and all that good shit. And I'll see you guys in the next video.